as observed in the petitions filed before the Presidential Election Petitions Court in Abuja of challenging the outcome of the February 25 presidential polls, one of which has led to the refusal of the court to grant the prayers of the opposition parties to asking post-May 29, will Nigerians miss the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari? But let's start with our roundup of the day's political news stories and events from the state. Pastor Moina, Governor Emmanuel made the presentation at the banquet hall of the Government House shortly after receiving the final reports from the chairman of the committee, Ekeribong Omo. Now, the governor said the report provides all information needed by the... Now, earlier, the chairman of the transition committee, Ekeribong Omo, had said the committee had received input from 84 ministries, departments, and agencies of the state government as well. Well, let's stay in the state where the Ilima Obolo group has once again held a World Press Conference for and on behalf of the people of Eastern Obolo. Press briefing held at Okorete Town. The group recalled that the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly on the 16th day of September 2021, an attempt resolution was sponsored by Honorable David Lawrence, who is the member representing Eket State constituency, alleging that shortly after the passage of the said resolution showed the balkanization of several Eastern Obolo communities. Now, according to them, arising from the above, the people of Eastern Obolo approached the Akwa Ibom State High Court of Justice. Importantly as well, restrained the Akwa Ibom State government from continuing with the process of mapping or remapping the state. Now, the briefing also noted that the Akwa Ibom State government had neither appealed the judgments nor complied with the positive restraining orders of the court. Now, it also noted that the passage of what they called an obnoxious Ibno as well as Mbo local government areas. Meanwhile, the controversy rocking the planned remapping of Akwa Ibom State has continued to escalate as youths of Obolo ethnic nationality have given all companies operating in the three local government areas of Eastern Obolo, Ibno, and Mbo local government area a 6-day ultimatum to shut down their operations. The President General of the Obolo Youth, an accusation recently made by Governor Domi Emmanuel that the youths from Eastern Obolo had allegedly destroyed the coconut plantation in the area. Now, the group decried what it called unwarranted hostility against the Obolo people by the state government, adding that despite being the host community to several oil companies operating in a court of competent jurisdiction, had in a judgment on the 27th of January 2022 prohibited the state governments from withdrawing or remapping. Firstly, dismissed the motion on notice filed by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its presidential candidate in the February 25 general election, Atiku Abubakar, seeking a live telecast. Proceedings brought by the Labour Party and its standard bearer, Peter Obi, was lacking in merit and consequently dismissed same. By the separate motions, the petitioners had prayed for an order allowing the televising of PEPC proceedings, given its monument Atiku's motion, which was decided first. The chairman of the Presidential Election Petitions Court, Justice Aruna Samani, held that the court, as presently constituted, only has the power to hear and determine election petitions and not to serve. However, he had seen the practice direction, which was issued by the President of the Court of Appeal for the guidelines of judicial practice, and it also noted that an issue that borders on policy and it's administrative in nature, said the court lacked the power to make such a policy. As fixed May 26 to deliver its judgment on an appeal challenging the eligibility of the president-elect Bola Tinubu of the APC to contest the presidential election that held on February 25. The appeal marked SC CV 501-2023, which was The PDP contended that the manner the APC and Tinubu nominated Shettima as a vice presidential candidate for the election was in gross breach of the provisions of Section 2 of the Electoral Act of 2022, of course, as amended. Now, it also told the court that there was evidence to establish that Shettima was nominated twice, both for the vice presidential lad. Now, aside from asking the court to nullify Tinubu and Shettima's candidacy, the appellants equally applied for an order to compel the independent poll. But meanwhile, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Yao Koro, okayed the matter for judgment after all part of PDP through its lawyer, Mr. Joe Aggie, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had urged the court to sought the dismissal of the suit on the premise that it was bereft of any kind of merit. Besides, the respondents also contended that the matter had become status barred. Now, this is in view of the expiration of the period that is allowed for the hearing and determination of such pre-election case. And on their part, INEC, through its own lawyer, Adebiyi Adetosoye, said it was in support of Tinubu and the APC's demand for the appeal to be dismissed with a substantial cost. Let's stay with the APC, with a coalition of APC geopolitical zones, assembly leadership zoning arrangements to include the North Central, in order to give each section of the country a sense of belonging. Now, the coalition also ceded the position of Deputy Senate President to the North Central, while retaining the speakership position in the Northwest. The host of the leadership of the National Assembly insisted that the call was made in the spirit of equity, fairness, inclusiveness, justice, peace, that the incoming administration of President-elect Bola Tinubu would continue to provide crucial support to the Nigerian Navy, maintaining the positive trajectory achieved during his capacity as president, and CNC. Buhari expressed immense satisfaction with the array of naval assets on display and combat readiness. No doubt that the incoming administration of President-elect Tinubu will sustain the current tempo of his administration in giving the Navy the need to acquire new assets, expand shipbuilding for export purposes, promote indigenous production, and intensify the fight against piracy, as well as a Let's go to Ondo State now, where in order to expedite the growth of the country, the state governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, has urged President to reaffirm the need to transfer authority to the state, since it was too excessively concentrated at the federal level. Akeredolu stated this yesterday at the 59th Council Advisor on Union Matters and Special Duties, Dare Aragbaye, objected to the country's current constitution, which gave the federal government a great deal of power, and insisted that the federating unit must be able to direct local development. Now, he also suggested that the next bounce back economically. Economic experts would posit a different view, considering the current administration of President Buhari had long enforced the ban in recent years. But finally, the Federal High Court in Kano yesterday restrained the police from arresting, harassing, detaining, or taking further action against the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Alassane Ado Doguwa. The majority leader, in affidavit submitted before the court through his attorney, Nureni Jim's client, was detained by the police unlawfully and against his right to liberty and freedom, as allowed under several provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, he maintained in the affidavit that the incarceration of his client by the Chief Magistrate was null and void and unconstitutional because lower courts lacked the competence to try criminal charges. Now, it would be recalled that the majority leader was arrested in February. However, the High Court declared culpable homicide charges, including criminal conspiracy prosecution against the majority leader, as unconstitutional. Had been complicit in electoral violence that led to the deaths of voters during the Kano State's gubernatorial as well as National Assembly and presidential elections. But we'll turn our sights more now to filed by the PDP and the Labour Party seeking for a live telecast of the ongoing presidential election petition court sittings at the Court of Appeal level in Abuja. Will this have a wider effect on the entire proceedings? For Ado, who says President Buhari will be missed, well, narrow the conversation down to Nigerians will be asking if post-May 29, President Buhari will indeed be missed. We'll talk about that when we come back from this break and break.
Systems. Please put your hands together for His Excellency the Governor. Gentlemen, please, if you give a little bit of space, I would love to see from here. That large screen is projecting what is on the short screen there. Unfortunately, it appears someone has stepped on a cable and has denied us the opportunity of seeing the projection on that big screen. But then, can we please put our hands together for His Excellency the Governor, whether we see it here or not? The Akwa Ibom. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of ghost worker syndrome in the Akwa Ibom State Public Service. Okay, that system has come up. If you're a civil servant, you can log into the profile. It's a mobile version of this, so you can log in, and then you can also check. So now when you actually want anything from the service, all it takes is a click of a button. Information, data, appraisals, work status, even the designation of responsibilities. We know when someone is going to do it. I know in some states they do it, maybe not here. And then performance management, recruitment. Nowadays, people will be in the different MDAs, it will pop up there, and it will be easy for somebody to copy that link and send to people. And of course, once you click on the link, it will take you straight there. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all of that and the responses. Thank you very, very much. It will enhance productivity. It will ensure that hard work. I think everyone is standing. Yes, Solicitor General will assist, Excellency. Official unveiling and presentation of the laws of Akwa Ibom State, revised edition 2022. Please put your hands together for His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, the Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State. Thank you. Please, Your Excellency, respectfully, sir, I will kindly request each of them to have a copy. I wish we could take that photo. Okay, please, they'll come up, one person with a copy. Yeah, I think this is, thank you very much.
Exist only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and service advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police force, which is we don't have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. But who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Adele?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
Not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord. I think I'll be in course of them.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria.
day will bring you security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyeken on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday, Relationships and Family Life in the 21st Century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
One Truth, African Opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyeken every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Spectrum Television. As always, we join you to connect with us on Star Times DTH Channel 421. And for live feeds as well, just simply head to, or later on, we'll be joined live and over the line by Bernard Titus, political and public affairs analyst, who will be talking to us from the state of Buhari or not. Plus, with reference to the request made by the PDP and the Labour Party to have a live telecast election, the court has dismissed the request by the opposing parties. We'll find out whether this would hamper the course of the entire proceeding from Governor Dom Emmanuel to Governor-elect Pastor Moino. Well, yesterday, Governor Emmanuel formally presented by the new administration. Well, let's get footages now of the event itself and how it went down yesterday when Governor Emmanuel committee. And the expectation, of course, is that it would help the incoming administration of Governor-elect Pastor Moino to have a smooth takeoff.
Please put your hands together for His Excellency the Governor. Thank you very much. The people that are not clapping are those that still want, and that large screen is projecting what is on the short screen there. Unfortunately, it appears someone has stepped on a cable and has denied us the opportunity of seeing the project. Public service is now live, online, real-time, 24/7. Thank you very, very much. Okay, that system has come up. If you're a civil servant, you can log into the profile. Please, can people sit so that those of this, so you can log in, and then you can also check. So now when you, even the designation of responsibilities, we know when someone is going to retire. So no more undue declaration of age, and then performance management, recruitment. Nowadays, people will be actually applying MDAs. It will pop up there, and it will be easy for somebody to copy that link and send to people. And of course, once you click management, appraisals, yes, even queries, all of that, and the responses. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Akwa Ibom State, Thank you very, very much. His Excellency has given it to the people that will read it. I will kindly request each of them to have a copy. I wish we could take that photograph where it will come out looking. A copy of the laws each. The photograph will be taken right in front here. Together for His Excellency.
Of a transition report by the incumbent administration of Akwa Ibom State led by Governor Emmanuel May 29. We're speaking about May 29 at the Presidential Election Petitions Court, where another suit was telecast of the PEPC sittings in Abuja. Well, the request does lack merit, but the question is, would it have a wider effect? Bernard Title is a political and public affairs analyst, no stranger.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us as well. You've been following the court's ruling on the matter of whether the PEPC proceed.
I'm not to send that bill or the public opinion in advanced country, counted, and they want to be carried along by citizens because this is our country. Anything can happen all across the continent of the world. People are watching.
Yeah, with reference to this ruling, according to was a new one, but was not supported by any law. No provision that says you must transmit, laws in the country that says you cannot. So this simply means, let's have it televised or not. Yes, they've chosen to go the other way, get the support and the belief of most Nigerians who feel that.
Let me say this very clearly. Nigeria will not reach with all levels. That is one. Two, on the issue of earlier, we're not surprised, and that is already subvert the wills of the people. But that will not happen. This thing, televising of a national issue of that magnitude. We saw the debate on the floor, and it was engaging. Citizens were carried along. So then,
well, Bernard, or in what form, shape, or manner is this protest you are talking about?
Mr. President had the elections that are just concluded. And then part of the amendment now, they refuse to have carefully include. That is one. Two, the man that Mr. President is about to be sworn into the office have not met up the 25%. Exactly. This is a man that we have seen all corrupt cases surrounding him.
So yeah, okay.
Like I said, I can tell you for sure that Nigeria is going to protest for one better reason, that the president that they are about to swear into on all the 29 men, you can mark and take my word for it.
Well, so long as it's a peaceful protest, I'm not sure anyone would oppose your views in that regard. But I'd like to draw your attention now to some of the reasons why the APC and, interestingly, INEC decided to oppose the Oro Market Square, and as such, it needed to be disallowed. What do you think having live cameras in the court's proceedings, televising the entirety, ever happening?
You see, that is a bloody lie. The judges, the matter, no citizens have any input regarding the live televising. So the aim that Nigerians will know the judges that have subverted the law. avoiding to be seen on the television, on the social media platforms, that social judge is also here surveying to school that citizens would have had any input regarding the sanctity and the job what you are doing and how transparent was the system. So they are against this.
We know the request to have the proceedings televised has been turned. Request to have the proceedings televised being turned down will likely hamper the general outcome of the court on the deliberations that happen inside the court at the end of each sitting, which of course would be transmitted to the public, but not, or will not have a chance to see firsthand the entirety of this case, and just trust in the process of the court, who have severally said we're going to ensure that justice is rightly served.
You see, your postulation is quite okay, and follow the proceeding. Critiques where necessary on social media, ask relevant questions where necessary. But it's quite unfortunate that are beginning to do certain things rightly and bearing in mind that the just completed election was a shambles, was a fraud. Nigeria, the INEC official in that aspect, citizens expected to see the levels of transparency in the process and how the whole process is being carried out. So,
quite interesting. And okay.
Secondly, the cases before the court, Raymond, the case before the court, there is no judge currently, among the leading to a massive revolution if anything goes short.
I'm just trying as much as I can not to stoke up the tension as well with the Labour Party challenging the outcome of the presidentially trailed the elections. But is it not possible that they can do so without the entire proceedings should not be televised for the rest of the, team up with another party to support something that has...
Let me say this to you clearly, Raymond. The international community and clearly that winning to 10 or 25% of the total. Simply, the live recording as it's supposed to have been by the INEC officials. They should bring the consultative committee would have briefed Nigerians the site that are called the technical glitches. So, Raymond, you can see with me, international communities spend a lot more election. And then lastly, Raymond, if they train their vote by copy and to conduct other elections, what are you supposed to do?
Okay, so these parties would likely appeal, this judgment, but the feelers is Day 29. The Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, stays in the country because Nana Akufo's comments may be coming on the backs. But here in the country, would you posit that Nigerians will indeed... do you emphasize that here in the country, Nigerians are like...
I think for me, the only thing I would appreciate is Muhammadu Buhari thing that I can give a recommendation and it's leaving it to us that it's worse off than what is meant. I give him kudos regarding the electoral framework with fair, free and fair.
Mr. President was being commended in the continent of Africa, and the projections is that going forward it will wealth that are abound in this nation. Would you say that's a massive plus for President Buhari that is...
The Dangote refinery, I'm not getting the relationship. Is the refinery, was it built by the Nigerian government and handed over to... why are we applauding him on an individual establishment, you know what I'm saying? So, but outside that, why should I attribute Dangote so effort to the federal government. It's quite unbelievable.
The fact that going forward, that refinery will likely serve the purposes that the other 5 refineries in the country, which have been in a state of moribund for a good number of years, haven't been able to do. And that's been a major problem for previous administrations over the years. So I still going to rephrase that question. If you think it's not something worth celebrating.
Well, on that regard, I'm celebrating Dangote for his, for building a refinery. In fact, if we would have gotten more additional 5 refineries if this set of leaders were driven by policy and development. So we would have had 5 additional refineries if they were driven to build Dangote result to their current administration. I don't know on what moral ground should I say that. He went for inauguration and all of that, and that's as simple as that. So I wonder why they're attributing. I wonder why they're attributing Dangote achievement to the cost effective of all refining the oil, and then that's a huge benefit to the country, which is no doubt. But on appreciating and giving all the kudos and applause to the president, that is what I can't do that. I don't see how it could relate.
Okay, on the last line, before I let you go, I know you still have Buhari will be leaving office, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be inaugurated come May 29. Everyone agrees the elections are over, and while we're still having concurrent court cases being entertained at the Election Petitions Tribunal, it's that the first few days of the Tinubu administration, while we still have one eye monitoring what's happening at the court, we'll see a change in policy shift from what we've had throughout the Buhari administration. Yes, it's the same ruling All Progressives Congress, but these are 2 different leaders. So,
well, the incoming administration of let me just comment let me just say this so I didn't look at I didn't want to say anything. But well, let's wait. Let's be alive and witness May 29 and see him make a speech. Let's from his blueprints and implementation we know. If only we remember what to say on the day of inauguration, if he has what to say. If he has what to say that will be workable on May 29, so be it. But for me, I don't say anything that will be good. It will be worse off than what we got for elect. Thank you so much.
All right, that was Bernard Titus, political affairs analyst, joining us from the state capital, Uyo. And there's been a lot to talk about with reference to nations challenging the outcome of the February 25 polls. And we already have one verdict delivered with reference to the request made to televise the court proceedings. If we, of course, had no reasons to entertain or grant the prayers of the opposing parties, and have said there is no provision within the landscape of the law that mandates the courts to actually have the court's proceedings transmitted live or broadcast for the rest of the country. And they've said the only directives and guidelines that have been transmitted live. Well, the opposition parties have expressed regret at the decision of the court. It's only left to be seen whether they're going to appeal this matter even further, up to speed with them as well. There's more when we come back. We mirror through the 10th Assembly and the ongoing race to produce the principal leaders of the House. The APC is yet to settle this matter, and TikTok, the time is ticking. We'll come back right after this break. Stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an on-investment and so much more. Advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421, and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday. Interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal...
I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said?
The Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll...
Join us every Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. for Legally Speaking.
Issues affecting the common Nigerian. Some issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekan every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Welcome back and thanks for staying on. It's the final lap of Political Spectrum, and as we wrap up, it's pretty important to make a shift from the other two assemblies. Some would say we're quite complicit in some of the noticed or noticeable failures of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, especially on the fiscal side, as he's been blamed on the leadership of these assemblies. So this forms the crux of the expected inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, and the drama and jostle for the principal positions in the four now. They had made a submission at the end of a National Working Committee meeting to zone the Senate presidency to the South-South, with Senator Godswill Akpabio pinned as the favorite or consensus candidate at the Deputy Senate presidency and the position of Speaker as well. Arrangements that have been opposed keenly by have reportedly endorsed their own consensus candidate and are demanding for an open fight to get the principal or coveted positions in Parliament, which will likely see principal officers. Or several groups, even from the North too, have mounted pressure in this regard. Some of them have met with the National Working Committee, continue to suggest will likely have the final say as to who emerges as the principal officers of the legislative arm of government, single-handedly handpicked by the executive. Well, everyone does agree such a decision cannot be taken in hand in determining who heads the parliamentary arm of government. Then it leaves more question than answers. But as we do know, it's for the National Assembly leadership positions have all reached a common ground on whom they want to support. A lot of coalitions are bereft of any kind of influence, either from the executive arm of government or the political parties. Well, which way this will all play out is what we do not know, but as is our tradition, we'll be right back again tomorrow. Keep a date with us if you can. Ablide Nukem is up next in 8 with the latest from the world.